welcome to the Irish Examiner's live stream coverage of tonight's Co-op Superstore's Cork Senior A Hurling Championship clash of Bride Rovers and Father O'Neill's from Páirc Uí Rinn. The sides made winning starts last weekend, with Bride Rovers defeating Ballymartle and Father O'Neill's overcoming Kilworth. Victory here tonight all but ensures a place in the knockout stages of the competition, so intensity will be the name of the game. Once more, our coverage is brought to you in partnership with the Co-op Superstores, who are sponsoring the Adult Hurling Championships right across all the grades this season. I'm delighted to have Mark Landers alongside me here tonight, and we will run through the teams with him in a few moments' time. But first, let's hear from the management teams. Earlier this week, I caught up with Father O'Neill's David Colbert. But first, let's hear the thoughts of Bride Rovers' Steve Glasgow. Now we're delighted to welcome Steve Glasgow, who's in charge of Bride Rovers this year. Steve, perfect start for you at the weekend. Good run out against Ballymartle. Everyone fit and healthy after that?
Yeah, it was a great win for us. Great start to the campaign. To be honest, everyone isn't fit and healthy. Unfortunately, we had a young fella. He was taken to hospital after about quarter of an hour of the game. He's fractured jaw at the moment, so unfortunately he's the only doubt. Well, not doubt, he's gone for the rest of the season, but we have young and able fellas to step in as well.
Okay, sorry to hear that news, and we'll pass on our very best wishes. In terms of the match itself though, comfortable enough win in the end?
The first 30 we were very, look, I can say it myself now, they were very impressive for the first 30 minutes. But as I said to the team afterwards, it's very hard to replicate the 30 minutes when everything is done to a T. Ballymartle started to get on top in the second half, and we finished the game strong, but we had to battle to stay in it as well with Ballymartle at times.
Okay, we've seen a few of the matches across the football and the hurling, Steve. The water breaks seem to kind of stall momentum for some teams and kickstart momentum for others. Is that something that you've seen already?
Yeah, most definitely. As I said, we got a good start, which isn't like us, to be fair. We're always kind of slow starters, but we made an effort to kick in from the start. The water break came and went, and in fairness to the lads, they continued from where they left off. But on the other side, you could get dragged down, like if you're on a run and it halts your momentum. But it gives the other team then time to regroup as well, have a chat, and come out fighting even harder, for the second 15.
Okay, well, look, you have the win under your belt. How hard is it now with the quicker than usual turnaround for a game, and the fact that your opponents have that extra day on you as well, too?
Yeah, like coming out of the game last Saturday, it was a great win for us, a great start. But previous year's championship was kind of cutthroat, it was knockout hurling. There's a great sense of satisfaction after a victory like that. And as you said, you get a break of maybe 3 to 4 weeks, and in some cases in the recent years, you'd have the bones of 2 or 3 months until your next championship game to regroup. But no, we started from the outset, focusing on Ballymartle, and now that that's come and gone, it is quite tough to bring the players' attention to a new opponent in the space of 6 days. But look, that's why I'm in charge. That's why we get the big bobs.
And in terms of the preparation, with such a quick turnaround, how much of it is rest and recovery, and how much of it is actually preparing for the next game? Like, what was your scenario? What was your timeline like after Saturday?
100%. This since the Ballymartle game now, it's completely rehab, stretching, foam rolling, getting fellas right, both mentally and physically, because it was a tough game on Saturday that we had. Everyone's in good spirits. We met up last night, and everyone was laughing and joking. Like that's what I'm stressing to the players as well. Look, it's a different year this year with everything that's going on, and we just have to enjoy every second of it,
Okay, now in terms of Father O'Neill's, you know plenty about them from their exploits in the various grades, competed in an All-Ireland intermediate final back in January. But I was just talking to David Colbert, your opposite number, a little earlier. He was making the point that the two sides really wouldn't have that much rivalry unless you went back about 20 plus years ago.
100%. Right, Rovers have been up senior now a number of years. I'm only in the club myself. The bones of 6-7 years. But as you said there, we've never really crossed paths with foreigners until this coming Friday night.
But you know plenty about them anyway from their exploits in the Premier Intermediate last year and their run to Croke Park as well.
Oh, we've done our homework all right, yeah.
Finally, Steve, in terms of the championship, the fact that we didn't think we would have a championship and here we are now, what's it like in the parish, in the club at the moment? Admittedly, the fact that games are capped at 200 makes it quite difficult for lifelong fans to see the matches. But is there a buzz around the shop, the post office, the pub, whatever it might be?
Most definitely. As I said, since I came down about 6-7 years ago, I couldn't get over the amount of enthusiasm from the local people here in the village. They accepted me in as one of their own straight away. And yeah, there's a massive buzz at the moment. The tickets are like gold. There's like All Ireland final tickets. I'm getting calls all week about them. They went on sale, I think, Sunday morning at 10 o'clock to the season ticket holders. And there was people saying to me, come 10:10, sold out was all that was coming up on the screen. So yeah, there was a fair demand to see the games and fair demand in the village to get tickets as well.
Now, delighted to welcome David Colbert to our coverage of tonight's championship game. David, it's been an incredible journey for Father O'Neill's the last 12 months. An All-Ireland final back in January must seem a lifetime ago now. I suppose the step up to a new grade, you must be delighted anyway to have a winning start.
Yeah, I think that's all we wanted from the first game into win our first game up here and kind of settle us down a bit. I think we probably struggled a bit in the first half to get our bearings. I think most teams in the championship struggled in the first game, so it's good to have that out of the way now and get the wins a bonus. Okay, but how difficult, and I think it was probably more difficult for a team like you, having gained promotion, coming up to a different grade, and then you've had that wait of almost 8 months. Yeah, I suppose all teams have had it. We probably use Zoom and all this kind of stuff, which we never thought we'd be using for training and stuff over the lockdown. And in fairness, so our fellas have kept themselves very good shape and spirits are high after it. In fairness, so I think the break probably did us a bit of good as well after such nearly 13 months of a campaign last year. I think there's probably no harm for fellas maybe to not be going to the field week in and week out. If fellas came back now with a bit of hunger, I think, after it. Okay, it was a remarkable season last year. How hard is it to focus bodies and minds again after something like that? Well, I think it would probably been a lot harder if the championship panned out as it originally had it. Like we were starting our league campaign, we were 2 games into the league campaign before the lockdown, and fellas probably had a 2-week break before that. After the All-Ireland, so like we were straight back into it. Whereas now I think we've had a massive break. We haven't been seeing each other. We haven't been listening to each other. So we haven't been wearing each other down for nearly 24 months straight. It's the break I think has served as well, and I think those are fresh. And I think it has suited us. By no means are we 100% sharp like we were in the championship last year. I think no team is. I think like there are, you see in all the matches there are mistakes, there's a bit of roughness. I think you have to accept that. But I think as the championship progresses, all the teams are going to kind of get up to that championship pace. Okay, in terms of the Imachilly question, this year obviously so different now for your players. Is it a positive or a negative from your perspective? Well, we see our players, I suppose, without interruption, which is a benefit, definitely. But look, Imachilly has served us well down the decades. I think our players have got massive experience from playing at senior level when we were junior, when we were intermediate, when we were Premier Intermediate. We had fellas a lot of the time playing at a higher standard, which definitely brought them on. But I suppose from a logistical point of view this year, I think, look, it's definitely a benefit to us to have our fellas the whole time, and you can manage their games and you can manage their recovery. Like last year was a marathon of a county campaign for 5, maybe the 3 starters that we had. it was incredible. Like, and to get them through injury-free throughout all those games was just probably a testament to our physio and probably our recovery and our strength conditioning that we were doing.
Okay, well, I noted from last weekend, Billy Dunn and Declan Dalton still the stars of the show for you. Any additions from last year's squad to this year?
There was probably 4 new starters from the county final last year that played Kilburn. So there was 4 new lads started. And they'd all come from that under 21 county team, we'll say, from 2 years previous. So it's good to add a few new fellas and freshness, and there's good healthy competition there as well. I think that's a good thing. I think we all hope that fellas would step up this year to kind of add on to last year's team, and that's happened so far, which is a good thing.
Yeah, definitely a good thing, because we've seen so often teams dependent on the same 15 to carry them over a number of years. The fact that it's Bride Rovers then later on tonight in this championship game being carried live on the Irish Examiner live stream, a little pet there in the background. Looking forward to the game, the excitement obviously going to the canine world. What is the rivalry like with Bride?
We're in the same division. We're like, I suppose, the last time I'd say both clubs would have met would have been 1998, back in the Junior A Championship. Both teams were competing for James O'Connor Cup that day, and we lost in Lisboa. I was a small club in the bank watching that day. That was the last time both teams kind of met each other. Since then, it's probably been the odd under 21 championship game, maybe. Since, so look, they're in the same division. That would be kind of the rivalries, probably more historic. They've been up out of junior an awful lot quicker than we managed in the end. And like, obviously they progressed to the intermediate as well to go senior. So they've been senior probably for the bones of 10 plus years.
But listen, on the back of our conversation about McKilly, the fact that 2 of you now are playing tonight at the same grade in Páirc Uí Rinn, just a sign of where East Cork hurling is at?
Definitely, yeah. It's great to be up there, and it's great to be playing at that level and matching yourselves against teams like Bride Rovers and Ballymartin, who have been senior. We'll say we'd have watched them go up years ago and hope that someday we could do it. So yeah, it is great to be up there with them.
And our thanks to David and to Steve for taking the time to speak to me during the week. Well, welcome back to Páirc Uí Rinn, our live stream in association with the Co-op Superstores tonight, and it's a mouth-watering one. And I'm delighted to have an old friend and colleague alongside me, Mark Landers. Our first game together of the season. Oh, what a beautiful August evening.
Yeah, thanks, Colm. It's great to be here. I suppose when numbers are limited to 200, I'm very, very delighted to be here to actually witness this game tonight live. I suppose the big thing with this morning, when it was raining heavily this morning, everybody in East Cork was wondering what kind of an evening we were going to have. But delighted to say that it's absolutely glorious here. There's a slight breeze blowing, I suppose, into the Cork side of the field, but the ground surface is magnificent, and both teams are just watching their warm-ups there. Both of them look really, really up for it, and I think the big thing, Colm, is when the draws were made in the new format of the championship this year, I think everybody looked at this clash as being the real battle of the Titans in East Cork at this grade this year. And as we said coming into this game, Mark, the fact that the two have wins under their belt too from last weekend. Okay, let's run through the teams. We're going to start off with Bride Rovers. They're down here on our left hand side, continuing their warm up, running through the team very Cian Hogan in goals. Full back line is Fergus Collins, the great warrior. Brian Murphy at full back, Tygo Sullivan wearing number 4. Half back line, Shane O'Connor, Owen Roach and Shane Walsh. The midfield is Daniel Dooley and Kieran Carney. William Finnegan, Ryan Prendergast and Paddy O'Flynn, the half forward line. Late change then at corner forward, it's Jason Pratt wearing number 22 is in for Conleth Ryan, who was wearing number 13, broke his jaw, I believe, last weekend in the victory over Ballymartle. Cian O'Connor and Brian Roach then wearing number 15. Mark, a team, a side, a club you know all too well. Yeah, fantastic club and a fantastic team as well. I suppose in goals, Cian Hogan, he replaces Shawnee Knox from last year. His dad, Michael Hogan, I went to Colms and Fermoy with him. In the full back line, I suppose Fergus and Brian Murphy, they'll have a big job tonight on. They'll be more than likely marking Billy Dunn, I would say, and Dickie Dalton. And in the half back line, Shane O'Connor, who normally plays midfield, has gone back in the half back line. Very, very strong player. He's a brother of Cian O'Connor, who's full forward. You've Owen Roach centre back, one of the twins, the Roach twins. His brother Brian plays corner forward. Two outstanding talents and two, really good guys with a great attitude. And I suppose you'll be hoping that they will step into the Cork fold at some stage into the future. Captained by Daniel Dooley in the middle of the field. He was involved with the Cork panel under John Myler last year. And then in the half-forward line, two big wing forwards in William Finnegan and Paddy O'Flynn. William was in America last year after he played the first round against Douglas. He was missing against Ballyhale. It was a big loss. But he's back in the team and he's taking the frees for Bright Rovers this evening. And then in the inside line, you've got a replacement for Conal Ryan, who did break his jaw against Ballymartle last week and had an operation in CUH over the weekend, and he's back on the mend. People would know his dad, Donald Ryan, for years, the great warrior wing forward with the glove in his hand, but a great man under the high body. He's a big loss for Bright Rovers tonight, but he's equally replaced by an excellent guy in Jason Pratt, and obviously Cian O'Connor, full forward, who's returned from Canada. Big help as well. Okay, that's the Bright Rovers line out. Let's take a look now on screen at Father O'Neill's. I'll very quickly go through their starting 15. Colin Sloan is in goals, but known as Georgie, I'm told. Mike Mellerick, Sean O'Connor and Owen Motherway, the full back line. Podge Butler, the elder statesman, wearing number 5. Dan Harrington, centre back, and Tom Mellerick is wearing number 7. Kevin O'Sullivan and Mark O'Keefe are our midfield pairing. It's Jason Hankard, Paddy McMahon and Rob Cullinan in the half-forward line. Billy Dunn and Declan Dalton, you heard Mark talking about them a few moments ago, and John Mellerick, the third of the Mellerick brothers, will be wearing number 15. Yeah, again, a very, very consistent team here. Father O'Neill's have been in the All-Ireland Intermediate Final last year. Very unlucky to come up short against Tullaroan, who we saw last weekend playing against Ballyhale Shamrocks, the All-Ireland senior winners, and drawing with them. I suppose unlucky for O'Neill's, they were short a number of players, Billy Dunn and Mark O'Keefe, for that final last year. But they've two now guys in the full back line, Sean O'Connor and Owen Murray. So this is a big game for those two lads there. Mikey Mellerick in the corner, better known as the Hoover. I would expect that he'll probably pick up Brian Roach this evening. An elder statesman, Podge Butler, who played a number of rounds of the junior hurling last year in East Cork. Centre back Daniel Harrington. I think if Cian O'Connor could possibly come to centre forward today, that'll be a key battle as well, the two lads there. Mark O'Keefe as well in the middle of the field will probably pick up, I would say, Dan Dooley as well. That's another key battle. And then up front, Jason Hankard, a young lad that was in Midland CBS a number of years ago. Great hand, very tall. Paddy McMahon, centre forward, lightning fast player, will be well suited by the conditions this evening. Rob Cullinan, a big, strong, honest to God wing forward. And then inside, so you have the younger of the 5 Melricks. I mean, we have Joe Mellerick and John Mellerick. Also, unfortunately, Joe is injured and he's a big loss to Father O'Neill's this evening. But of course, the two boys inside, Billy Dunn and Declan Dalton, they are key to the success of Father O'Neill's this evening. Okay, as we said, it is an East Cork derby, but there wouldn't be massive history though in terms of these teams, given the fact that Father O'Neill's are after coming up through the grades over the last number of years. Yeah, well, I suppose Father O'Neill's have come up, I suppose, in the latter stages. Bright Rovers are up from junior into intermediate and into senior, and have been senior for a long time, so I suppose that is an advantage to them, that they have been plying their trade at the top grade of senior for over a decade at this stage. Father O'Neill's, I suppose, go back and played against them a huge amount of times, and there's an old Pishog years and years ago that they couldn't win the East Cork, and I suppose here we had, I think they lost 12 East Cork junior finals before the missions. There was an old Pishog, the missions were there, and the team left the missions, and while there was mass going on, they said they'd never win the East Cork. But anyway, I think the same thing happened in Mayo as well too. That's still going on. But I mean, Father O'Neill's have been outstanding in the last decade. I mean, their underage structure has been fantastic. They won a number of minor. They got the 3 Premier 2 minor county finals in a row. They won 2 of them, and a lot of the team that they have here today is based on that. They went on and won an under 21 A title as well. So I mean, they're a fantastic club, but ash of 2 great teams in East Cork at the moment.
There you go, national anthem there. Bright Rovers having won the toss. They're going to play from left to right. Just noticed, Father O'Neill's, it's the number 16, whether it's the sub-goalkeeper, whether there's a late change with Ger O'Leary and with Colin Sloan. We're going to keep an eye on that one there. I can see that the two of them are down around the goal mouth at the moment, so we'll have to just wait for a few moments. It looks like, though, that Sloan is going to be starting tonight. Interestingly, speaking of sub-keepers, Bright Rovers have no number 16. They have no sub-goalkeeper designated. Referee this evening is Colin McAllister. An absolutely perfect evening.
Yeah, it's a fantastic evening, Colm, and it's just a shame that I suppose that this match is played in front of such a small crowd is here. But you can see already the O'Neill's team has lined out 1 to 15 as we speak, and there are a number of changes. We'll get to them in a minute for the Bright Rovers team. And
we'll also be keeping you updated as well too on Middleton and Ballyhay, which is down in Fermoy tonight in the Premier Senior grade, and a vital one for Middleton after their defeat this night last week against SAHC. Anyway, we're off and running here with Bright Rovers and with Kieran Carney. And, drops it into the goalkeeper, young Georgie Sloan's hand. Did well despite the sun in his eye line. And it's Father O'Neill's now trying to push down the far side with young John Mellerick, making his championship debut this season at senior level. That's an effort from him out on the sideline, a bit of a adventurous effort, but yeah, good ball in, I suppose, for Mark O'Keefe in the middle of the field, and I suppose it's good to get the first touch in. Colm, I mean, he had a shot, and he probably, if there was a side to be wide, he was right. He was wide on the professional side, I suppose, and the far side of the goals. Cian Hogan, powerful puck out by him, but well fielded there, and it's Father O'Neill's who are in front of us here on the attack with big Jason Hankard. He's a giant of a man, 6'6", I think. And that's a great ball in there towards Declan Dalton. Ball spills away though from the ever so dangerous full forward and talisman, but it's out with Paddy McMahon. Jinking this way and that way. Little ball in by him towards Rob Cullinan. But the defender there for Bright Rovers getting in ahead, and there's a push in the back. Cullinan is protesting, but no doubt there. And it looks like it'll be the goalkeeper who's going to come out for that, Cian Hogan. So we said at the start of the game, Colm, that there were a number of changes in the Bright Rovers team. They started in the first 5 minutes, with the half forward line went into the full forward line. Now they have seemed to settle with William Finnegan inside, with Brian Roach as a two-man inside line. Great ball and great delivery down as far as Jason Pratt, the man introduced there earlier tonight. Tenacious defending by Father O'Neill's. Sees Pratt taking the ball out over the sideline. Yeah, Jason Pratt was named a corner forward, and he's playing centre forward. And Daniel Harrington and Cian O'Connor, named a full forward, is playing wing forward on Tom Millerick. Great to have the eyes of Mark alongside us here tonight. Fine sideline cut, dropping it in around 21 yards out. And it's Bright Rovers man that collects it. Great ball into the corner forward there. Man, Brian Roach. Roach opts to go cross field and misses his intended target, but somehow his midfielder Dan Dooley manages to regain it. Turns it into full forward to Cian O'Connor, and O'Connor off the left and has driven it wide. And as Mark pointed out, a bit of a breeze there as well too, which would be favouring Bright Rovers. You can just see the white flag there. Just blowing in the wind. Fine puck out again, and Hankard trying to get down on top of it. A correct decision there, Colm. Daniel Dooney bored into young John Mellerick. Probably no need for it at all. The ball had broken from a clash of the ball. But Prendergast, his centre forward, had actually collected it then. And Ryan Prendergast, who's named as centre forward, seems to be playing in a withdrawn role, probably as a sweeper or a second centre back as well. Just a little bit of a nervy start. There's been a couple of wides on both sides, but both teams have got into the game fairly fast. Both look composed, and again, as we mentioned earlier on, Fergus Dunn is Fergus Collins is marking Billy Dunn, and Decky Dalton is marking Brian Murphy. And they will be key clashes that are here this evening. I would expect at some stage that Father O'Neill's will probably withdraw John Mellerick out the field and leave a two-man inside line at some stage. And the aforementioned Dalton there doing the business there from that free. very much, as Mark said, a talisman of this Father O'Neill side, and so vital in their Premier Intermediate Championship victory here last year. There's Dalton there again, big left hand goes up, spins out of about 2 or 3 tackles, offloads it beautifully to Finnegan, or to Hankard should I say, and Hankard putting it over. But that was great play by Dalton.
Twas,
looked around,
but I suppose in advance of that as well, Cullum, the ball came to Shane O'Connor and he knocked it out, and he probably could have settled himself slightly and maybe caught it, but he's playing in a new position of wing back this evening, and he's normally a midfielder, an attacking midfielder, but it's just one of those things. He's getting into the game yet.
Yeah, but great insight though by Dalton to look around, saw that he had a player in space, took the option, did ever so well there. Ball's gone out there for a sideline down there. The linesman awarding it the way of Bride Rovers, and it's corner forward Brian Roach. He's brother Owen, centre back, twin brother, Cork under 20 panellist, of course, young Brian. He's drifted in, and it's Ryan Prendergast, another or Paddy O'Flynn, excuse me, who's going to take it into the danger area, floating around there, but comes to naught. It comes to a 65 in the end. It was kind of a delivery that caught everyone by surprise.
But it was a half chance at the same time. Colin, I think Cian O'Connor, it probably surprised him a little bit. It took a ricochet, just maybe surprised him a little bit. But they've got a 65 out of it, and it would be critical from a Bride Rovers perspective that they get a score on the board now. Father O'Neill's are leading 2 points and no score. It's nice to get out in front and get a couple of scores on the board just to settle down the team. Look, there's only 6 minutes gone, but all these little scores, they add up at the end of the day, and it's vital that William will convert to 65.
Clean strike from Finnegan, and the equalising score. Hard to believe 6 minutes already elapsed in this evening's game. With Kevin O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan off the left. Not sure is he aiming towards the full forward line, but anyway it went all the way through to Cian Hogan, who pumps it clear. Very talented goalkeeper with Cork City, very impressive young soccer player as well too, I'm told. Father O'Neill's opting to go through the hands out of defence, sign of a very confident side, that nobody panicking, and plenty of runners looking for the offload. Delivery was aimed towards Rob Cullinan, but cut out there by the Bride Rovers defence, and it's Kieran Carney. And all the way down, but it should be Sean O'Connor hoovering that up. The Mountain, I'm told, is his nickname. He's the Hoover alongside him in Mike Mellerick. Had it ever so easy there, but not happy with the delivery. Eventually, though, it finds its way to Paddy McMahon into the corner. And Bride Rovers dropping it dangerously down on top of William Finnegan, and Finnegan takes a heavy bang from Tom Mellerick for his troubles. And Mellerick will be making a quick introduction, I'd say, to Cathal McAllister's notebook there.
Yeah, and I suppose William Finnegan, now for anybody would know him, is probably 6'3". He probably has 7 or 8 inches on Tom. But just on a side mention, Tom Mellerick was involved with the McKilly under 15s a good number of years ago, and Tom was on the second under 15 team with the McKilly. And it just shows that, keeping the net as wide as possible, because there are late bloomers that come along, and he's I suppose a byproduct of the work that has been done in East Cork, and Fergal Condon, the former McKilly manager, was involved in that setup as well, and Tom has won county medals, numerous county medals, but my first introduction to Tom was on the under 15 B grade or the second team with the McKilly years ago.
Finnegan has recovered from that blow, and right on the halfway line is going to strike this free, and perfect aim, perfect accuracy, no ill effects from that clash with Mellerick, and back on his feet. You're watching, by the way, the Co-op Superstores Cork County Championship clash of Father O'Neill's and Bride Rovers. Our coverage in the Irish Examiner live stream brought to you in partnership with the Co-op Superstores, the first of 3 games this weekend, and I'll have some more details of that a little later in the broadcast. Anyway, free down the other end, and it's Decky Dalton who's coming out to show us his talents.
Yeah, a lengthy clearance from the Father O'Neill's defence down into John Mellerick in the corner. I've seen that maybe his marker Tiggy O'Sullivan may have been giving him a bit too much close attention and was holding his jersey, and he's giving it away a handy free now.
Mellerick has come in for a bit of attention in the opening few minutes of this game. As we mentioned, his brothers Mike and Tom. Tom picking up a yellow card a few moments ago as well too for that clash with William Finnegan. Ball drops out in front of us. Did very well to keep it in, or so we thought. It was Dan Dooley, I think. No, it was Finnegan himself that managed to keep the ball in, but linesman said no, he'd stepped out, and it's going to be a sideline here with Kevin O'Sullivan in front of us that's going to take this one. Absolutely beautiful evening, and as Mark said, it's evenings like this that Championship Hurling was made for. But sadly, with the regulations in play at the moment, only 200 people here in Páirc Uí Rinn watching the game this evening. Wherever you're watching around the world, I hope you're enjoying the fair. And if you're a Father O'Neill's fan, you'll be delighted to see Mark O'Keefe hitting that off his left and over the bar. And Father O'Neill's Mark in the last 3 or 4 minutes have taken a bit of a grip on things.
And they went 2 up, and Bride Rovers got back to level and were comfortable, and then an easy free conceded. But look, it's still very, very early in proceedings. Both teams are going at it, hammers and tongs. Very honest game. Both teams are getting enough play. It's just how you use it and how you convert it. That was a very good score from Mark O'Keefe, and I'm a bit surprised that young Cian Kearney has been given the job to Mark O'Keefe, because Mark is a real 3 county medals with Emmy Kelly in the middle of the field as well. It's a big ask for Cian Kearney, particularly when Dan Dooley is the captain, I suppose, and would be very, very seen as very experienced.
Dooley, the captain, there taking that sideline cut, finding his full forward Cian O'Connor. Cian surely fouled there by Mellerick yet again, and Tom would want to be careful. He's on a yellow.
That's two frees there now, and I mean you just can't be you can't be conceding frees like that. Like if their forwards are good enough to put the ball over the road, let them, and that applies to both defences. Like easy frees like that, and they're very, very I suppose they're very hard to come back from them, I suppose, in some respects. But compete for every ball fairly, and don't be giving away handy frees.
Well, Finnegan punishing it on the scoreboard. It's 4 points to 3 with just gone 11 minutes of this clash here this evening. The Co-op Superstores SAHC C2, of course, the grade will be talking through the tables and all that at half time with Mark, and looking at the standings, and it's so tight right across the grades, as we'll see. Great play there by Daniel Dooley to ride out 2 or 3 tackles, but he's just met with a wall of Father O'Neill's players. That half back line has been the rock that so much of Bride Rovers' attacking play has perished on. Ryan Prendergast is trying to burrow way through, no joy for him. Jason Pratt getting involved. Tygo Sullivan. But it's another number 4. It's Owen Motherway is the man that comes out with the ball and gets the free, and gets a little tip in the head from Cian O'Connor as well too for his troubles.
Yeah, but a fantastic passage of play, Colin, right here in front of us in the stand side, and on both sides. Daniel Dooley very involved, Cian O'Connor very involved, and Daniel Harrington very involved in that piece of play there. But it was outstanding from both sides, and compliment Cathal McAllister as well to leave the game develop, let the game flow. And I think anybody who's watching the game wants the game to flow, and it will come out at some stage. Just once fellas don't go in slashing with hurleys and stuff like that, doing the wrong thing. If they're using their physicality, they'll have no issue.
Fine strike yet again by that man Declan Dalton, and you can tell from the ripple of applause here that there's a sizable enough contingent from Father O'Neill's at this match. We're going to be keeping an eye as well too, as I said, on the latest from Middleton Ballyhay, which is down in Fermoy this evening. We'll get you an update on that in a few moments when we get to the water break. Let's concentrate on the action here at Páirc Uí Rinn. Plenty of talking points here, and a great ball in as far as Jason Hankard. Bit of a hit and hope effort. Was it more than that? The two umpires look at one another. I think they were even caught by surprise in that one.
Yeah, but it's a fantastic score, and Hankard seemed to be on the inside line there, but came out to one the first time and slapped it over off his right hand side. An excellent score, and he's 2 points on the board today, Colin, which is a good return. He's great innings for him this evening straight away.
You were telling me off air you think he'd be better deployed on the other wing?
Yeah, well, he's actually has moved from the other wing. He is picked at on the other side, but he's actually moved to his more natural side here.
Okay, well, down here, the far end, there's a wonderful play again by the Father O'Neill's defence. It looked like Bride Rovers were about to fashion something there, but just a wall of players coming around. Owen Roach trying to come out here is forced to go to ground, and only in as far as the centre forward, Paddy McMahon, who takes a heavy bang for his troubles, and the referee quickly awarding a free. McMahon obviously feeling the ill effects of that. No quarter asked or given there, and took a bit of a dead leg, I'd say, for his troubles.
A little bit of a tricky situation, I suppose. Bride Rovers would feel slightly agreed that Owen Roach, it seemed like that he was foul on the way out, but he probably got an opportunity to offload the ball. Then he was lucky that he wasn't blown, because he seemed to drop the ball, drop the hurley, and hand passed it from his left hand with his right hand, which is a foul. And I suppose then there was a clash of legs here, and it's resulting in a free for Father O'Neill's. And I suppose we're looking at the clock, it's nearly 15 minutes, and the first water break column is actually coming up. And I suppose if you're a Father O'Neill's mentor at the moment, or a player, you're actually wishing that there wasn't a break, because they have taken over the game in the last 6 or 7 minutes. And actually, if you're a Bride Rovers mentor, you actually do want a break to get your troops together and say, listen lads, we're in a game here now, we need to get back into the game as soon as possible.
Well, as we're looking down there, Paddy McMahon receiving treatment from the medical team. Want to mention as well too, just Bride Rovers there, cornerback number 2 Fergus Collins, his brother Cormac and his sister Jennifer are watching in Australia, so big hello to them, and people right around the world getting in touch with us in the Irish Examiner over the last number of days. We
were also approached there before the game just to wish Michael Griffin and Joanna O'Reilly all the best tomorrow, and they're getting married tomorrow in Ballymacoda, and just for everybody from Ballymacoda, the very best of luck tomorrow.
Okay. Effort there from Dick Dalton has surprisingly gone wide, and that leaves it at 6 points to 3. And I thought for a second there we were going for the water break. We are, yes, confirming that we are going for the water break.
And it's like psychologically now, that actually is a slight boost there to Bride Rovers, because you would be expecting anything from 80 to 100 yards with Dickie Dalton. He's been a fantastic free taker for the last 2 or 3 years, both with say Cork, and both with Immakilly, and for Father O'Neill's. He's been outstanding, and psychologically it was a free that he probably would have been expected to score. But look, it is what it is. A 6 points to 3. Father O'Neill's slightly have the better of it, and they are playing against the breeze at this moment in time. But there's nothing between the two teams. They're very, very evenly matched. Their touch is, movement is good. Their communication is good. So all in all, Colm, a very, very even contest. But I suppose Father O'Neill's have the best of it on the scoreline at this moment in time.
Al McAllister, I don't think will be having too much dilly-dallying. His sideline officials falling back into position there, and he's blowing the whistle to get things started. We've seen various times for these water breaks over the last couple of weeks in both the football and the hurling championships, and it's amazing as well how momentum of sides is affected in these games. We're getting an update, I believe, there, Mark, from Middleton.
Yeah, it seems as though the scoreline at this present time from Fermoy is Ballyhay 1-6, Middleton 5 points.
Well, that is a surprising scoreline after 15 minutes of play down there, so we'll update you again there at half time. Middleton, of course, defeated last week. Were probably leading, I think, at this stage of the game against SAHC last week, but again struggled with the water breaks, as a number of teams have over the last number of weeks. Right, back to the action here in Páirc Uí Rinn, and back with the Bride Rover centre back Owen Roach. Good delivery by him. Just overcooked it slightly, and it's Owen Motherway who hoovers it up to Paddy McMahon. McMahon blocked though, as Bride Rovers trying to squirrel it out with their midfielder Kieran Carney. It's not Carney though, it's dropped in though into the goalkeeper, into Georgie Sloan. Calls for steps there, no one listening. Podge Butler goes short, but finds the wrong man. It's Paddy O'Flynn, I think. A couple of heavy shoulders there on the way out.
There is, but it is noticeable, Colm, since the water break. There's a bigger intensity has come from the Bride Rovers team at this moment in time. Now, both teams are intense, but there is a noticeable increase. Saying all that, it's still Father O'Neill's who are probably the better team at this moment in time.
Father O'Neill's in possession with the centre back Dan Harrington. Great ball down as far as the corner forward, young John Mellerick. Mellerick maybe one of the younger players, but he's certainly not lacking in enthusiasm anyway at that time. Just the delivery a small bit short, well claimed by the goalkeeper. His clearance though has found its way only as far as Jason Hankert scored that wonder point a few moments ago, aiming it in for Dalton and Brian Murphy in a big tussle down there. Reinforcements coming in to aid Murphy, and in the end though it's back with Billy Dunn. Still Billy Dunn off the left, a bit of a low delivery, touching it there from Rob Cullinan. With goalkeeper and defender working well together. Well, I spoke to soon there as Cian Hogan gave a few nervous moments there, dropping the ball, looked to be dispossessed. Still hasn't cleared his lines. It's Father O'Neill's that have it here. Eventually, Bride Rovers coming to the rescue. Defensive reinforcements called on, and pulling and dragging going on between Jason Pratt and Dan Harrington. And it's going to be a free to Harrington and to Father O'Neill's, much to the dismay of the Bride Rovers contingents here in the stand.
It seemed to be that when the ball broke out here to the sideline, that Jason Pratt may have been holding Daniel Harrington. A quick free now has been taken by Kevin O'Sullivan to Decky, and it's straight over the black spot. Very good communicating there.
That was great communicating there between, as you said, Kevin O'Sullivan and Decky. Whether it was a case that after that miss there a little earlier, Dalton didn't fancy the one from that range, but his midfielder linked up superbly. Dalton was kind of caught in no man's land and was more than happy to oblige. Back here now, the far end. Can Bride Rovers fashion something here? Once again, there's just a wall meeting them time and time again. The shot eventually being taken off by the wing forward, and that was William Finnegan, and has come to naught, and it's still 7 points to 3 with 21 minutes elapsed here at Páirc Uí Rinn. Great clearance down the far end of the field. So out comes Hankard again, and we have 5 or 6 or 7 players in a space of ground where you wouldn't be going too many heads of cabbage, as the old saying goes. It's Murphy going across the line. They're trying to play their way out of trouble with Kieran Carney out to Shane O'Connor. With delivery by O'Connor in, right in towards the corner forward there, Brian Roach. Roach's shot looking good. The umpires concur.
Yeah, Brian Roach has really showed his class there now. A fantastic ball, and a fantastic interplay from the defence of Bride Rovers there, and a good ball up the line. Brian Roach first touch, took on his man on the outside and scored a fantastic score. Showed his real class there.
Real class and show here on the other end of the field from the Father O'Neill's wing forward, Rob Cullinan. Long delivery, ball bounced once or twice, caught it and didn't look.
Fantastic score now, and himself and Shane Welch haven't really been in the game. That's his first involvement after 22 minutes, but such as a fantastic score.
As Mark said, the game really springing to life since the water break. Here in front of us says William Finnegan. Great ball in here, foot race on. It's going to be won by O'Connor, but it's only falling as far. And an effort there out of nothing from Paddy O'Flynn. The goalkeeper had to be alert to that, and Georgie Sloan got down very quickly and cleared the danger. Back at the end, it's breathless stuff here. Delivery in towards that dangerous man Dalton, and at the full forward line himself and Murphy holding him back. Still Dalton eventually gets the shot away, and referee I think had waved on advantage there on that occasion.
It's probably the second 1-on-1 between Brian Murphy and Declan Dalton. Brian Murphy won the first one, Declan's won the second one. Probably slightly lucky that I think there wasn't a penalty conceded there, because it looked very close to the goals, but Faro needs to get a point from it.
Possibly if Dalton hadn't even got the shot away, it might have been a penalty, but the referee allowing play to continue, and Dalton managing to hoover it over. Dalton again on the ground, and what a strike from that man Declan Dalton. We spoke so much about his danger, and a blow there on Dalton. He's gone down to the ground.
I didn't see what happened, but I think the umpires will be called into duty here. I was actually looking at the scoreboard, so I didn't see what had actually happened in that course of play there. But for the second week in a row, Colin McAllister is going into his umpires to consult on a maybe an off-the-ball situation, an off-the-ball incident.
As he's talking about that, though, the danger of Dalton, we had said before the game, ball came in, there was only one thing in his mind. What a cool, calm, collected finish. No chance for the goalkeeper. Bang into the back of the net, and now it's pushed it out to 1-9 to 4 points. Treatment continuing there for Declan Dalton, and some anxious moments there in the full back line, and a yellow card being issued. I think it's Brian Murphy that's getting the yellow card from the referee after consultation with his umpires.
Yeah, and I suppose, look, the funny thing is that the referee is still talking to Declan Dalton now. Is there a possibility that there could be 2 yellow cards here? Yes, it seems to be a second yard. So, look, I suppose it's like everything, sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't. We didn't see what happened, but it is what it is. It's a goal from Declan Dalton. I think it's a big game for Declan Dalton tonight, because Brian Murphy is one of our most experienced defenders in the county at this time.
The danger, though, now, Mark, is Brian Murphy, the experienced defender, is also on a yellow card and has Dalton to contend with for the rest of the evening. Father O'Neill's galloping through here, and it's with Hankard. Ball, though, kind of goes to ground, and there's 1, 2, 3 Bright Rovers players in and around him. One of those is Kieran Carney, and foul committed. It's going to be a free out, and you can see Bright Rovers trying to spread the play as much as possible, with Brian Roach scored a wonder point there a few moments ago. Effort from him from about 45 yards out, gets right under the ball, hooks it over, and that's a fine score, and watched all the way by Georgie Sloan, and that's making it 1-9 to 5 points.
The key thing here now is that Bright Rovers don't concede any more needless frees, and keep the scoreline at what it is, and obviously feed Brian Murphy or Brian Roach as much as possible.
Oh, that was a heavy blow yet again on young Mellerick. Don't think there was anything malicious in it. The centre forward came across Ryan Prendergast, and young Mellerick was flung into the air with that one. Interesting to see now what the free situation is. Great communication again between Kevin O'Sullivan and Declan Dalton. Kevin didn't fancy it, gave the nod, and Decky is now standing over.
And it's like, look, when you have a player like Declan Dalton on the frees, and be it 21s, long range frees, anything from 100 yards out, he's deadly. He's very, very experienced. He practices relentlessly just to get it right, because he realises the importance of a very, very good free taker. And I go back when I was a young fellow watching Middleton play for years. John Fenton, every day you'd go to a match, he'd score 1-7, 1-8 and knock in 3 or 4 points on play. And Middleton were traditionally winning an awful lot of games based on having a very, very good free taker as well.
Ball breaks off Father O'Neill's defender, Sean O'Connor, and it's out for the sideline here in front of us. The full forward, Cian O'Connor, wisely deciding to go a bit closer to goal, and Bright Rovers get about business pretty quickly. It's Pratt that's taking the effort from long range. Is it going to hang? Goalkeeper did well to just get a hand in it, break it away in the sunshine, but can only come as far as Finnegan. Still shot coming up. Oh, wonderful play. Brian Roach getting the shot away, I think, in the end, but about 2 or 3 defenders flinging their bodies across the line to hold that one out.
Hoover by name and Hoover by nature. He was in the right place at the right time, and I suppose Bright Rovers will be disappointed. It was a good opportunity falling to Brian Roach, but a couple of lads threw them, and Mikey Mellerick picked it up on the end line. A fantastic save. It was a score that Bright Rovers really needed this evening to get themselves back into this game.
And Sloan did well to knock the ball down in the first, because as we said, that sun, his hand is up over his eyes at the moment. Maybe he should be wearing a hat or something like that, but dangerous times here, and just a show of the threat that Bright Rovers have with that man Brian Roach. Referee waving on advantage shot, but a shot at nothing there, and there was no need of it from Kevin Carney, because they knew that they had the
absolutely
the
but in the overall context of thing, Brian Roach is really, really shining out now. Willie Finnegan as well in the forward line. The rest of the forwards need to up their game if they're to get back into this game, and I suppose just around the middle of the field in the half back line, they need to start supplying ball a little bit quicker into Brian Roach, because he certainly, when the ball is in the air, he has every opportunity to beat his marker, Mike Mellerick. But in the overall context, Father O'Neill's are still very much in control at this moment in time, leading 110 to 6 points. But this is an East Cork derby, played in Parky Ring. there's no team going to give up here tonight. This game is still going to go down to the wire, I would think.
You're watching the Co-op Superstores SAHC C2 clash of Bright Rovers and Father O'Neill's. It is on the Irish Examiner live stream in our partnership with the Co-op Superstores. Delighted wherever you're watching us, if you're down in East Cork, if you're in Cork City, if you're in Canada, if you're in Cancun. Delighted to have your company here this evening. I'm sure if you're a Father O'Neill's fan, you'll be enjoying the fair here, and maybe if you're a Bright Rovers fan, you'll be hoping for better things to come over the next 35 minutes or thereabouts, and you'll be hoping that this man will be getting on the ball more and more. Brian Roach has done so well. Just fell through the fingers of Cian O'Connor, and Sean O'Connor pumping it clear. And Father O'Neill's here on the attack yet again with their centre forward dropping it in towards the danger area towards Dalton, but out come Bright Rovers yet again, and it's out with their midfielder with Kieran Carney. Great show of pace there out as far as Jason Pratt. Pratt opts to go back, and it's a first time ball in with no one waiting for it. Went right over the head of Brian Roach, and he puts his hands in his hips, now his hands in his head, disappointed with the delivery, and a chance gone and begging.
Chance gone and begging, because Brian Roach is very much on top inside, and just a case of pop it in, because a goal for Bright Rovers for half time would be great. Just the score again, Colm in Fermoy is Ballyhay 1-8, Middleton 7 points. So at this moment in time there's a big upset on the cards, but look, it's still early days. We were here last week when we saw Blackrock playing against the Zone, and Blackrock led 2-8 to 3 points after 25 minutes, and with 2 minutes left in the game it was 2-12 to 2-11. So anything can happen in these games, but I think Bright Rovers will want to get to half time as soon as possible, just to try and get the troops back in together.
Free in this Co-op Superstores clash, and it's Declan Dalton standing over it. Just mentioned there a few moments ago, Mark, of Brian Roach. Are Bright Rovers trying to isolate him, just have one man inside?
They're playing a two. Okay, so at the moment, as we look up the field, you have two fellas, one inside, one on the 14 and the other on the 21. It's William Filligan is at the edge of the square at the moment, and Brian Roach is on the 21 in front of him. They're playing three in a pod in the half forward line, and it looks like they're playing 7 defenders back here. So Ryan Pendergast has been redeployed, I suppose, as a defender, and Owen Murray, who's cornerback for Father O'Neill's, is playing out in the middle of the field, stroke the half forward line for Father O'Neill's.
Decky Dalton adding to his tally there, scored that wonder goal a few moments ago, and just so unerring from frees. This is a joy to watch an artist at work here. Nice piece of skill though by Owen Roach there. Gone back to Brian Murphy. Murphy opting to go up the wing, up with Daniel Dooley. Dooley's ball in as far as Finnegan. Looked to be a bit of a push in the back, but referee says no. Sean O'Connor turning left and right, eventually getting the clearance away, and eventually, whether by accident or design, he finds it as far as Jason Hankard in front of us here, pumping it in there. Foot race between John Mellerick and the cornerback, and pushing the back there, so it's going to be a free out. Brian Murphy, actually, I was wondering there, was Brian out on the corner position, but it was Brian Murphy, and it's Cian Hogan, the goalkeeper, who will come out to take the free. Yeah,
I suppose, look, one thing that I would see is that Shane O'Connor, who is a very, very good midfielder, is playing wing back on Jason Hankard, and Hankard seems to have the better of him at this moment in time, and one of the moves potentially could be, Jason Pratt possibly moving back from centre forward back to half back, because he's a natural defender, and Shane O'Connor coming to the middle of the field in the second half.
Okay, we'll be back in 30 seconds with more analysis of this Co-op Superstores clash of Bright Rovers and Father O'Neill's. And welcome back to Páirc Uí Rinn. Father O'Neill's 1 goal and 11 points to Bride Rovers 6 points. Beautiful evening here. Mark, a fair reflection on the scoreboard?
I think it is, Colm, just about. Like pretty level at the very, very start. 2 points to Father O'Neill's, came back level, and then Father O'Neill's went 4 points up. But I think it's probably the easy concession of frees has been, Bride Rovers undoing. They've, got 9 frees. They've conceded 9 frees to Father O'Neill's 7, but they're all scoreable frees, is what I would be saying. And the Bride Rovers defence need to, I suppose, just stop fouling, because if you have a player like Declan Dalton, he's going to convert all those chances if you give him enough if you give him enough chances. But I suppose Bride Rovers will be looking at, they hit 4 or 5 wides as well, uncharacteristically, but like 1 or 2 of them went wide simply as well. So they got a small chance of a goal, the ball ricocheted and went to Cian O'Connor, but it was only a half a chance really, and I suppose the 1 goal opportunity that fell below here to Father O'Neill's. Declan Dalton was on hand to finish it, and his clash with Brian Murphy along with Fergus Collins, who's having a great game, on Billy Dunn. Billy Dunn has been scoreless at this moment in time. That's a big bearing as well. I think young Jason Hankard is having a big influence in the game. He's 2 points in play, and he's getting on a lot of ball as well. So in the overall context, I think I think Father O'Neill's probably full value for their lead at this moment in time, bearing in mind that they're playing against whatever slight breezes there this evening.
We've seen time and time again that kind of half back line wall of Father O'Neill's. That seems to be the area that Bride Rovers are getting that far, and then they're just hitting a ball.
Yeah, well, I mean, Daniel Harrington, to be fair, is a very, very experienced player, and he's a player that we would have identified in East Cork as being a very good, tough, honest, genuine hurler, and he's been unbeatable really at centre forward. And I'd also say that Sean O'Connor, a guy who wasn't in the team last year, had been to America during the summer, and just I suppose James O'Connor was coaching the team last year along with Dave Colbert and stuff like that. And when a team gets settled, it's very, very hard to break into the team. But he's giving a really, really good performance at full back tonight. He's on Cian O'Connor, who I suppose was in Canada last year and probably has missed out in the years hurling and stuff like that. So maybe he's not ideally as sharp as he probably could be, having missed out a year's hurling. But look, there's only 30 minutes has been played here, Colm, and a lot of things can happen in the change room. But I do think that Bride Rovers probably needed to get the half time to get a break and to say, look lads, come on, we've been working very, very hard to get ourselves into this position now. We're better than what we're playing this evening. Let's up the intensity here.
Let's talk about this competition in itself, the Senior A Hurling Championship, and Raf alongside me is just going to pop up the graphic here of the tables.
Yeah.
As things stand tonight, look just how tight it is, and look at the calibre of the teams that are in it.
Yeah, well, I suppose the big thing is that whether it is accidental or whether it is effective life, the live streaming now has become a massive part of GA in Cork. Probably a massive thing in GA all over the country. Spoke to a good few people over the weekend, who watched 6 matches on live streaming over the weekend, and there would be genuine people that would go to matches, but they may have only went to 1 match or 2 matches, but they were able to see 6 games. So I think it's great credit to clubs that are so nimble that they're actually able to go away and get the matches streamed for their supporters. Great stuff for the Irish Examiner as well, and the Cork GA that they're officially live streaming 3 games this weekend. But in terms of looking at the overall context of the championship, this is probably moving weekend now, because it's the second round of matches. Any team that has 2 wins under their belt are nearly as good as guaranteed to be in the knockout stages of the championship. I think any team that's probably lost 2 games are really concerned at this moment in time that relegation could be their fate. But the excitement around this championship, Colm, is the actual debate that is happening all over the county at the moment with the new format, the new championship. And I think we must take our hats off to the Cork County Board, because they done huge changes, and there's no point in saying otherwise. There was 7 senior teams were regraded down to a new grade, or we could say that the senior grade has been pushed up to call it a premier senior grade, but 7 teams regraded from senior. Father O'Neill's, having won the county intermediate, have come up to senior A, and 4 teams promoted with them as well. And what the byproduct of this is that all grades now, from Premier Senior right down to the last grade and intermediate, are all going to be competitive matches, and that's really what supporters are crying out for. That's what the players themselves are crying out for, that you won't have one-sided games and stuff like that. So I think it's great credit due to the county board and the big changes, but also the clubs have taken it on board themselves and they're happy with their fate. But like this weekend, like I mean, there's some more interesting matches that are coming up over the weekend. I suppose, you know, Canturk against Newcestown, again at top of the table. Ronan Corn in charge of Canturk. He'll be trying to get his team qualified for the latter stages. And I suppose the other group then, Charleville for my Mallow, all North Cork teams all in together. Charleville playing a local derby against Mallow this weekend. They'll be looking to try to cement their place in the latter stages of the championship as well.
No holding around anyway by our match referee Cathal McAllister. He's the whistle blowing and getting us back into position for the second half of this Co-op Superstores Cork SAHC clash between Bride Rovers and Father O'Neill's. While the teams are forming into their formations, just to mention two games coming up tomorrow. We have the Premier Intermediate Hurling Clash of Castle Lions and Blarney. That's in Mourneabbey at 6 o'clock. Mark and Des will be on duty for that. And then I'm in Páirc Uí Chaoimh tomorrow night for the Premier Senior Clash of SAHC and Douglas, and our coverage getting underway on that one at about 7:30. Now, Bride Rovers, can they do anything in the opening 30 seconds of this second half? They so desperately need a score just to get the momentum going and the blood flowing, but hard to see it when it's Father O'Neill's who are in possession, and a merry dance being led there by Mark O'Keefe. And down here in front of us with the centre forward who got the shot away, Paddy McMahon. Race on there with Dalton and Brian Murphy out as far as John Mellerick. Mellerick going right across the field all the way out as far as Kevin O'Sullivan, and O'Sullivan from 40 yards, he's fist pumping. He liked it the moment that it left the hurley, and that has extended their lead to 1 goal and 12 points to 6 points. Spinning down to Ballyhay, 1 goal and 9 points. Middleton 11 points, and that's a half-time score from Fermoy, and we'll be keeping you updated on the scores from that. It's a make or break game for the two sides who were defeated last weekend. And of course the other game that we'll be looking forward to tomorrow night, again Douglas and SARS in that group as well. Big pull there on the back of Shane O'Connor. Eventually a free being awarded. A bit later for some of the Bride Rovers fans there.
I suppose they're quite anxious, and I don't blame them for being animated on the sideline. You know, when your team is out there, they've 6 points scored in the first half, they need to get a couple of scores on the board now just to settle down the team. But a goal for Bride Rovers at the first quarter of the second half now is so important that they get a score on the board. But if they manage to get a goal, it would really ignite their team. But they find themselves 9 points, 8 points adrift now. They need to get back on the scoreboard as soon as possible. But the simple thing is they need to start winning the 50-50 balls and have backline in midfield and delivering them the ball in as fast into Brian Roche as possible.
Okay, well, William Finnegan adds to his tally, the 24-year-old UCC student. There was no delay though by the goalkeeper, Colin Sloan, in clearing it out, but it bobbled out over the sideline, and Bride Rovers have, I'd say, happily and gratefully returned and received the possession. Shane Walsh with the sideline cut, and it's gone out for another sideline down here. Bobbled off a Bride Rovers foot, I think, in the end. And despite the protestations, it's going to be Father O'Neill's line ball down there.
And when it's your night, Colm, because from here it looked as though it was a Bride Rovers ball that was going in and has been awarded the other way.
Great strike there. It looked to be Hodge Butler that connected with it all the way down as far as John Mellerick, the distinctive reddish boots. Mellerick off his left. That's trail though, a few yards. He hasn't managed to score. Has he got anything so far tonight?
No,
I don't
no
think so.
Score, but I mean, people may not see this off. I was actually fouled going in with the ball, and Cahill had his hand up, but he gave him the options of the shot. He'd have been better off to take the free.
Great piece of fielding there by Rob Cullinan. Gone straight in there towards Dalton. Gets a push in the back there from Brian Murphy. Referee doesn't see that one. He sees the follow-up play with Mellerick, and it's going to be a free out to Bride Rovers, taken by the cornerback Tygo Sullivan. Well, I mentioned that Ty, the cornerback, is an employee of Dairy Gold, and of course the sponsors of the championship, the Co-op Superstores. Ryan Prendergast, nice offload by him to Keane O'Connor. Still Keane O'Connor, 21 yards out, opts to go out to the far side, out as far as his corner forward to Brian Roach, and Roach, the danger man, pops it over the bar, and that was such a badly wanted score.
Yes, absolutely, but they're back in it. That's the critical thing, is that they're starting to win the 50-50 balls. You just have to stop conceding the frees.
It's 2 points in a row there for Bride Rovers, and out they come again. The tenacity that we saw from Father O'Neill's in the first half has now been replicated and replaced on the other side of the field. Now, what can Father O'Neill's do to stem the bleeding? It's with Kevin O'Sullivan. Dropping it. Shot at nothing to Brian Murphy, and Murphy all the time in the world to clear it down. Dropping it on top of his midfielder to Kieran Carney.
Great tackle by by Ryan Prendergast there.
Eventually, Jason Pratt comes out with the ball, but a free being awarded.
Yeah.
So,
and Mark O'Keefe is down in the middle of the field now, with clutching his neck after that challenge with Ryan Prendergast. Ryan Prendergast fought fierce hard to get that ball down, and he's won his team a free in, which would be their third point in the second half if William Finnegan, which I would expect that William will convert the column. But it's exactly what Bride Rovers, what you'd be expecting out of any Bride Rovers team, that they will get back and get back into the match as fast as possible, because the game is starting to drift away from them, and Father O'Neill's were comfortable enough. 9 points up at half time, but you'd have to say that we've seen a big psychological shift here in the game, that Bride Rovers are really back in the game, but they need to continue that. Very important free here now from Willie Finnegan to convert.
well within his range. Here comes Finnegan. Oh, and surprising commentator's curse there on that one.
Absolutely, and you know, that's a big blow to Bride Rovers. Look, just have to get on with it again. But I'm a bit surprised that, you know, Mark O'Keefe is being tended to in the middle of the field, and William Finnegan was allowed to take the free. He probably might have been better off to hold tough and concentrate. Free taking is so important in tight games.
Well, O'Keefe is back on his feet. The helmet has been restored. And definitely a let off there for Father O'Neill's with the momentum that Bride Rovers were building up. Great interplay there, and a heavy shoulder being taken, and a free being awarded. Owen Roach looked to be the man that was coming through and was dumped to the ground by a heavy shoulder.
But it was great interplay from the Bride Rovers team. There was 5 or 6 passes in the course of that, you know, and it ended up with Owen Roach being fouled and a critical free again here now. But what I said at half time about the frees that were conceded, now they have stopped conceding frees themselves, and they're being awarded frees because of the pressure that they're putting on the Father O'Neill's backline.
Finnegan has the chance to make amends, and he does just that, popping it over. Georgie Sloan, very quick puck out again. That's been a notable part of the Father O'Neill strategy as well. They're not waiting around. Jason Hankard comes, gathers, loses, and it's a bit of a skirmish developing here, not for the first time tonight. I can see that poor old Tygo Sullivan is buried down in the bottom of that huddle there. Must be 6 inches smaller there than Hankard, but he's not backing down. Going to be a throw ball by the referee. Keane O'Connor gone in for it, spills out, and it's back with Brian Rovers with O'Connor. Great play by him towards Pratt. Back to O'Connor, and I think he just got the angle.
A bit unlucky, but great interplay between Jason Pratt and Keane O'Connor. And, you know, they're starting to win the 50-50 balls, Bride Rovers. This game is far from over, Colin, at this moment in time. And I suppose if you're actually in the Father O'Neill's camp, probably a little bit lax coming out in the second half.
It's hard to believe there's only 200 people here, given the noise levels that are growing up here around us. Anyway, we're back with Father O'Neill's, back with the corner back there. Shot from him. Owen Motherway, long way from home. But
but a great result when you see O'Connor back on it. He's a touch of Paolo Maldini about him there, going up to score that.
I was about to say showing his forward colleagues how it's done. Shane Walsh on the ball. Walsh, a big 60-yard delivery by him. We're even struggling with the sunshine as it sets here on our left-hand side. Dan Harrington going to go down along the sideline as gets blocking it, and it's going to be a sideline there to Father O'Neill's.
Yeah, it was a great block by Paddy O'Flynn just to keep the ball inside the 21-yard line into Father O'Neill's. And you're right, Colm, about the sun. It's in Keane Hogan's eyes in the second half. It is very, very difficult to see into the sun at this moment in time.
Tom Mellerick is the man who's going to take the sideline. Not for the first time we've had these coming togethers, and eventually it's Shane Walsh who's going to burrow his way out. Great pass off, and it's Daniel Dooley that got on the end of it, but it's gone out yet again, and the linesman has stepped in there to award a sideline to Father O'Neill's. Quickly taken, and off we go again. Long delivery there as far as Mellerick. Off his right effort. Billy Dunn on that occasion, the other corner forward. First score, I'd say.
First score after 40 minutes, Fergus Collins has done a very, very good job at man marking, but again, the interplay of the Bright Rovers team is great out here in the middle of it. It looks great, but if they want to win the game, they've got to get the ball into Brian Roach as soon as possible.
Centre back Dan Harrington coming to the rescue there, but walks the ball out over the sideline.
Yeah, big score coming in from Fermoy, Middleton 111 and Ballyhay 1-9. So Middleton having been 4 points down, have gone to the front.
Yeah, a lot of interest in that game there tonight. A lot of interest in this game as well too from people watching around the world. We're getting messages. I don't think the Bright Rovers faithful will be too happy though with that shot from Cian O'Connor, which has gone out wide and gives Father O'Neill's a chance to regroup there.
Yeah, and a big switch in Fermoy again. Midland now gone 3-13 to 1-9 up.
Back with the action here, and Father O'Neill's young Motherway there that scored that point a few moments ago has been redeployed in the forward line, showing them all how it's done. Nice offload from him out as far as he's centre forward. Paddy McMahon, a great man I'm told with a golf club, and he's not a bad hurler either.
Absolutely, his father Paddy is actually from Killa, and his mum Miriam, but Paddy is an excellent centre forward, and he's won all the underage medals with Father O'Neill's, and a very, very good scorer, and a score that Father O'Neill's needed to actually lift the siege, because it has been all Bright Rovers in the second half.
Yeah, and you can see the intensity of the Father O'Neill's play. Well, probably getting a bit too intense on that occasion there, committing the foul, but it seems to have upped a notch or two even in the last 3 or 4 minutes. Interesting, as I say, Owen Motherway, Mark, where, because that's the second time in as many minutes as we've seen him up in attack, showing the forwards the way.
Yeah. So what has happened is that Rovers are playing 5 forwards, and Ryan Prendergast has been playing in a withdrawn role, and I suppose normally teams would call it a sweeper if the opposition didn't go and mark the spare man. But what Father O'Neill's has decided to do is they're going to mark the spare man. So Owen Motherway has come out to mark Ryan Prendergast. So what you're finding is that you have 5, and that actually should suit the Bright Rovers forwards, but the ball isn't going in fast enough for them to exploit the space that should be inside there, because you have only 5 forwards.
Michael Collins is the substitute just coming on to our left hand side there. He's the man wearing number 23. We'll just confirm in a few moments' time. It's Ryan Prendergast, the aforementioned Ryan Prendergast is the man that's making way there.
So it would seem that the tactic that was employed during the course of the game, as to have an extra man back, hasn't worked, and now what's going to happen is that they're going to revert to 6 forwards. I suppose Michael Collins, a lot of people know him as Twiggy Collins, an outstanding man to field the ball, a great man in the edge of the square. But they're reverting to 6 forwards now for the remaining 18-19 minutes of the game.
That was a big test of William Finnegan's range there, and went out wide in the end. Great play by the goalkeeper there, slowing out as far as Podge Butler had options open, but opted to go short. Great running off the ball there by Father O'Neill's, but it's back with Bright Rovers, and it's back with the ever-present cornerback, Owen Motherway. He's here, there and everywhere. Watch this for a cornerback. Imagine if you were a corner forward and this fella was showing you how it was all done. His delivery, though, on that occasion, not the greatest, to Rob Cullinan, and it spills out, but touches Bright Rovers player, and it's still with Father O'Neill's. And if it's in this range, there's one man that they call on. It's DD, Declan Dalton.
DD, I like that. That's very good. But again, now what has happened in the last 4 or 5 minutes is that, you know, Father O'Neill's have started to get back into the game, particularly the half back line. Daniel Harrington has been very, very instrumental, and Owen Motherway has been very instrumental as well. And Dalton, you know, and you know what, tonight now we're getting a word from Michael Lahan, has scored 3 goals, and now we see Declan Dalton cutting a line ball over the bar, and there's only 1 goal scored this evening, and it's Declan Dalton. So it's great from a Cork hurling point of view that the senior inter-county, the lads, are actually delivering.
Okay, there's done nice little jink of a pass by him in as far as John Mellerick, and young John Mellerick. Oh, unfortunately, it isn't for the want of trying.
No,
it isn't for the want of trying.
No, he's had a good outing, to be fair. He's got on an awful lot of ball, and more often than not, he's doing the right thing with the ball as well.
Want to mention his brother Ger, who isn't here tonight, suffering, I'm told, a serious hip injury, undergoing surgery, and the word from the camp is looking at least 6 months of rehab on that one. So we'll wish Ger the very best. Super hurler. We saw him last year in the Premier Intermediate final, and of course you'd have seen him in McKillie, everything like that. But we'll wish him the very best.
And they're a brilliant family. You know, there's Mike playing, Tom playing, John, and you have Joe, and you have Ger. And I'm
told there's a couple. It's like the Mortimer family. There's always another one coming.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's one girl in the 6 boys. You know, but Tom Mellerick, I know from my days playing with Killa, Tom used to always bring the lads on to watch the Killa games down through the years, and you know, I suppose that it's great that you have, I suppose, a family with 5, producing 5 lads in any team. You know, it's a bit like the Ballyhale Shamrocks when the Fenleys were playing. You know, so it's there's a huge sprinkling of families obviously involved in all teams.
William Finnegan's score there leaves it Heathside Bright Rovers on 10 points, but it's Father O'Neill's on 1 goal and 18 points. Want to mention, you are watching the Co-op Superstores SAHC clash of Bright Rovers and Father O'Neill's from Páirc Uí Rinn, part of the Co-op Superstores partnership with the Irish Examiner, live streaming of games right across this weekend. 2 more matches to come tomorrow afternoon. Mourne at 6 p.m. Mark will be there with Des, and that's the Premier Intermediate clash of Castle Lyons and Blarney. And then at 7:45 we're over the road, Páirc Uí Chaoimh, looking forward to that. The Co-op Superstores Premier SHC clash of SARS and Douglas. If I had said to you after 45 minutes that Father O'Neill's would have that score built up,
yeah, I would have been a bit surprised, to be honest with it, because I thought it would be closer, and the game still isn't over at this moment in time. But Father O'Neill's have got back into the game. Like they had a 9-point cushion, and the Rovers have brought it to 5 points with the first 4 points of the second half. But Father O'Neill's have weathered the storm, and Colm says you can't underestimate the experience that they have got over the last number of years. The 3 Premier Minor finals, the Under-21 finals, and winning you know, the Intermediate County, the Munster campaign last year, and getting to an All-Ireland final. That's massive experience for any team. Like, they really, really are on a high, and they've come in here on the front foot tonight. You know, they have been, you know, honest, physical, you know, their touch is good, their decision making is good. And what I've actually liked about them as well is that on a number of occasions taking quick frees, quick sideline balls, everybody's watching.
Quick puck outs, everything.
They're very well drilled, and I suppose, you know, coached at the moment by Sean Fox, Prendergast from Lismore. He's winning certainly the Waterford coaches. Pat Carney from Waterford is coaching Bright Rovers. So at this moment in time, you know, Father O'Neill's have the upper hand, but it's still a quarter of an hour to go.
We're off and running. So with the final quarter, it's Georgie Sloan restarting us here. I wonder where the name Georgie came from. Apparently his grandfather was Georgie, and he's known throughout the parish as Georgie, christened Colin, but that's what everybody knows him by now. Billy Dunn, a big greyhound man, showed a bit of pace there, and unfortunately effort gone wide despite his protestations. by Rovers with Jason Pratt. Back to Pratt. Pratt going right across the danger area. Oh, soaring up for it. That was a great piece of hands there by
Michael Collins.
by Collins. Flew into the air, but unfortunately no one waiting for the delivery. Ball, I'd say rather accident than design, finds its way to the man wearing number 19 for Father O'Neill's. We didn't spot Liam O'Driscoll coming on. We'll have a look to see who's made way. His effort though hits the post and goes wide. Let off there, and it falls into a Bride Rovers hands from the puck out, and that's a monstrous effort there from the midfielder, from Daniel Dooley, and that was a well worked and well earned score. Great puck out from Cian Hogan. Dooley soared into the air, turned around, took one or two strides and banged it over.
Yeah, it looks as though John Melrick has left the field, and now Declan Dalton has gone wing forward and Jason Henker has gone full forward, and a two-man in line with Billy Dunn.
Plenty of pace, as we said, by Billy. Been held up well though by the defender, but still not giving up on it. Eventually it's Brian Murphy that's going to try and get it away, despite the best intentions of Collins hanging off him. And eventually Bride Rovers getting it down here in front of us. Falls perfectly to the corner forward to Brian Roach. Still Roach flicks it over. Just a bit too much on it towards Collins. Might have been better to go himself.
Oh, absolutely, Colm. I mean, he was on the stride, and I mean, if you watch Patrick Horgan last weekend for Glen Rovers, on the full stride, he should have put the head down and had a go himself.
They're still there in possession, and they've opted to go all the way back, and it's a ploy that served them so well with the previous effort. And is it Dooley again?
Dooley, 2 points in play in the middle of the field, and you know, I suppose when you look at 12 points, you'll probably say to themselves, I suppose maybe if he was playing in the forward line for more of the game, would he have contributed a bit more, because he is a very, very good physical player, great hand and great to score.
Yeah, sitting in the pocket there waiting for the score. Some big hits there, but everyone still standing amazingly. Shane O'Connor goes short as far as Pratt. He's opted to go nice and low in towards his full forward towards Cian O'Connor. O'Connor is bowled down to the ground. The cornerback has gone down. That's Owen Motherway trying to break a bit of momentum here. Maybe
I think so. Yeah, possibly. But we'll see with the referee how he's going to deal with this scenario. But you know, the two Dooley points have been significant. Very, very good scores. One off his right, one off his left. And you had a Brian Roach opportunity, I suppose, in the middle of that, possibly, and you didn't get anything from it as well. Like offloaded to Twiggy that he might have thought that he was on the overlap, but it was just overhit for him.
Finnegan took the free there, despite the treatment for Owen Motherway, who's still down on the ground. By the way, water breakdown in Fermoy. It's Middleton 4 goals and 15 points. It's Ballyhay 1 goal and 11. Shot there coming from the midfielder from Mark O'Keefe comes to naught, but the referee is calling play to be held up because there's a substitute coming in there for Father O'Neill's. It looks to be Owen Conway that's coming in, and we'll have a quick look as to who's making way there, and it's going to be the wing back there. Podge Butler is the man that is wrapping up for the night, a man wearing a number 5, one of the elder statesmen on this Father O'Neill's side. No, this is going to be a bit of a gut check there now for Father O'Neill's as they come down the stretch, because in the last 5 minutes it's been all one side and it's been all Bride Rovers, and they're the team in possession right down in front of us here in the stand with their wing back Shane Walsh. Nice connection by Walsh. He's trying to get it in as far as Cian O'Connor, doesn't make the distance there, and Father O'Neill's out with their substitute, and he takes a heavy bang to the back. That's Liam O'Driscoll. I'm sure will be more than happy to take that free and giving the advice, let's slow things down, lads.
Absolutely, and Dickie Dalton is coming nearly 110 yards back to take this free. But what has happened is that Father O'Neill's have put Mark. It seems that Mark O'Keefe has gone back as a second centre back. They're going to employ their own sweeper now. I suppose they've identified that Bride Rovers have got into the game and have been posing a threat in the last 5 or 6 minutes. So, at this moment in time, Colin, we see that Father O'Neill seem to be comfortable at this time, and barring a goal from Bride Rovers, the result is going to go to Father O'Neill's.
Yeah, well, plenty of pulling and dragging inside there, and it eventually ends with the ball running out over the sideline. Looked to be a wide ball, but the umpire straight over, waving it as a 65. And the good news for Decky Dalton is he didn't have to go too far from his original vantage point from the free, just up about another 10 or 15 yards onto the 65. And as Mark said, this score, well, this attempt of a score, going to be so vital to Father O'Neill's, just to stall the Bright Rovers' momentum.
Yeah, he's going to, push out the score, I suppose, to 7 points, really, if he scores it. Which means it's gone out to a 3-score game now. We were here a number of years ago and we witnessed Bright Rovers incline in the relegation game, and Bright Rovers got a late goal deep into injury time. So, Bright Rovers are never beaten, Cullum, and they will keep fighting on their backs to get a result here this evening. But I suppose right now it's Father O'Neill seem to have weathered the storm, and not enough ball, I suppose, has gone into Brian Roach in the second half. I think he's got on 2 balls in the second half, and it's just not enough for his team.
Are you surprised that Declan Dalton is coming all the way back now for these frees? Would you not keep him inside as a...
This is about running down the clock. There's 55 minutes gone. There's 7 points up. There's no need, if once they don't concede a goal here, there's no way Bright Rovers are going to score 8 points in the last 6 minutes of the game. So it's about running down the clock. It's about being smart. And when you have a person like Declan Dalton who's equally, look at that for a score. I mean, that's just absolutely magnificent what this man is capable of doing.
It was like dodgems over there. It was like a bumper car.
It was, but you
players bouncing off.
Give credit to Cathal McAllister. He allowed the play to develop, and he didn't give an easy free. He left it develop.
And it just seems that Dalton thrives in that kind of a situation. Shot up into the air there from Daniel Dooley. Drop short though. And it's Father O'Neill's that regroup in front of us here with Tom Mellerick, but there's something off the ball here. It didn't catch it.
It is a sting. No, it's absolutely nothing. It was just a clash, and it looks as though Dan Harrington, a centre back, has possibly maybe popped his shoulder or something like that. He's holding. You know from the player that he is injured at this moment in time, but there was nothing in it. He either collided with somebody or fell, and maybe the elbow when it hits the ground will pop up a shoulder and stuff like that, but it's definitely popped, and you can hear he's roaring, and the best thing he can do now is get that back in, because if it's out of place, he's looking at a serious bit of pulling and dragging later on this evening to get that back into the place.
The team medic is over him, and I don't know if our microphone is picking up, but you can hear the pain and the anguish of young Dan Harrington from up here. And as Mark said, it's his right shoulder, just right on the shoulder blade. He's catching it, so at least he's sitting up anyway. And I'd say that'll be the end of his night here this evening. And great to see the match referee Cathal McAllister helping as well too, taking his hurley and his helmet off to the sideline as Dan Harrington's night comes to a very unfortunate end.
Yeah, and he has had an outstanding game at centre back for Father O'Neill's, and I suppose the wise decision here from a Father O'Neill's point of view is maybe to bring on one of the subs that they've already taken off, so that they're not using players for their second team. And I think we'll probably see maybe someone like John Mellerick may come back into the team, and we'll probably see if Mark O'Keefe might revert back to centre back now, because Daniel Harrington is gone off.
Just to mention as well, people tuning in right around the world, Kieran Laffin is watching in St. John's in Newfoundland. Donny Carroll is in New York. Cathal Duggan in Toronto, and James O'Connell is out in Dubai. So hello to all of you, and thank you for joining us in our Co-op Superstores coverage of the Cork County Championship, and an epic weekend yet again with 2 huge games tomorrow, and hopefully we'll have your company from about 6 o'clock on that. But back to the action here in Páirc Uí Rinn, and Bright Rovers desperately need something. They desperately need a goal, but they're not going to get it with the interplay there with Father O'Neill's and Mike Mellerick, the man affectionately known as the Hoover, doing exactly that, hoovering up any danger and starting them on their way again. And it's Declan Dalton, little swivel from Dalton out by the sideline. He's watching it all the way. He wasn't happy. You could tell from his face he wasn't happy with the delivery, and it goes out wide. Down here in front of us with William Finnegan. He's been the star man for his side to Jason Pratt. Working it through the hands in the middle there, it's Kieran Carney. Still with Keane O'Connor, falls to ground. And yet again, it's Owen Motherway on the ball. And route won by Motherway in towards Billy Dunn. But on this occasion, the Bride Rovers defence cutting out the danger. And it's Fergus Collins clearing it out. Great ball by him in as far as the man who's corner forward, and that's Brian Roach. And Roach, the shot from him and the point from Roach adding to his tally tonight, and that's his 4th point of the evening.
Yeah, and I look, for the fear of repeating myself, he just hasn't got enough ball over the course of the hour to be the threat. But then, you look down at Billy Dunn on the other side of the field, who's got 1 point from play as well. So, I won't put him into the same character, but I mean, Father O'Neill's will be expecting more from Billy tonight. But their other talisman, Declan Dalton, has been outstanding, along with Jason Hankard as well.
Well, again, when you've a talent like Declan Dalton available to you, you don't have to worry too much. And equally, when you have your midfielder Kevin O'Sullivan coming in to score his 2nd point of the night, you don't have to be worried about off nights from your corner forwards or players being held up. It's Kieran Carney eventually getting the shot away, and it's kind of dipping there dangerously towards the end. I don't know whether that was intended or not. But the referee had allowed play continue. It's a free in to Bride Rovers.
Yeah, and that is one of the things about the advantage rule column. It's great. It's just that the player in possession doesn't normally know that he has advantage. He just probably has to go with his gut to say, look, most fellas know when they're fouled, but sometimes, if the scores were level and you knew you had a free coming and you were in that position, you'd be more inclined to take the free than take the shot on,
19 to 14 points. And I suppose the other thing that we need to mention, Mark, I know in these matches take your point and all of this, but of course scoring differences and averages come into play. So do Bride Rovers on this occasion, Finnegan goes for the point, but do you start to say we need to try and get a goal now?
I suppose it'll be probably the next game and the 3rd game, okay, when all the games are played at the exact same time, that fellas will have to be aware of where the scoring difference is, because a point could actually put you through or keep you up. So that's what adds to the senior and all the championships this year, is the scoring difference is going to become a big player, and that's why the score below in Middleton is significant tonight.
Well, some great passages of play there. Owen Conway in a brilliant block. I think it was Tygo Sullivan who got on the end of it. Anyway, we're back with the play. Nice little interplay in towards the centre forward crossfield ball, but cut out on the end. It was Paulie McMahon's ball, but cut out by the Bride Rovers defence. But it's just been returned with interest yet again from Father O'Neill's, and it's a monster effort from the midfielder, from Mark O'Keefe, out of nothing, and he's pushed it out to 120 to 15 points. What a score from your midfielder. Good return from the two midfielders tonight.
Yeah,
for Father O'Neill's.
4 points from play between the two of them. Outstanding.
We're in the death throes of this game here as the sun sets in Cork City. Starting to get a little cool here now. Shot on this occasion, it's John Mellerick, who's tried so hard tonight, hasn't got on the scoreboard, but has, as I said, an impressive performance in this, his debut championship season. Interplay out here with Dan Dooley. Dooley first timing it down. 3 players going up for it. Who's going to get on the end of it? Is it going to be a Bride Rovers man? It is. It's going to be the corner forward down there, Brian Roach, but loses it. And all the way back, helping out his defence, is that man, star man tonight, Declan Dalton. Cut out though on this occasion by Owen Roach. Reinforcements coming out as far as Finnegan, bobbles off his hand, can't get it up, and it's wonderful play yet again by Kevin O'Sullivan. Goes right over Brian Murphy's head. He's got time to regroup, and he's going to go back as far as his goalkeeper, to Cian Hogan. First time delivery by Hogan, overcooks it though, goes past Shane O'Connor, and it's going to be Dalton who's going to hit this one from about 60 yards, and surprisingly Declan Dalton driving it wide. There's no let up here as Bride Rovers come again with Shane Walsh. Boomer of clearance by Walsh, down in and around his full forward, and it's swept away there. coming in on top of it there was it looked to be Michael Collins, but knocked out for a 65. And surely we are coming to the end of this
exciting but comprehensive victory, I suppose, for Father O'Neill's in the overall context of things, Colm. They have continued their form from last year, and bear in mind that they've all done this without John Millerick, who is probably one of their better players as well. But they're they look very, very accomplished tonight. But Rovers will be disappointed enough with their performance. But look, they have another game to get. They have another game in this group yet to go, and it's still all to play for.
The final whistle there, just after the final score from William Finnegan, completing it tonight. 1 goal and 20 points to Father O'Neill's Bride Rovers, finishing with. I don't know. Would they be? They would be disappointed, but would there be an acceptance that they came up against the better side?
On tonight's play, Colm, certainly Father O'Neill's were full value for their victory, but that's not to say that I think Bride Rovers will be very disappointed with their overall performance. They have a lot of work put into it. They've gone for Pat Carney, coaching him this year. It's a very, very good appointment for them. He'd been involved with the Waterford Senior Hurlers last year. But overall, they will be disappointed with their own performance. I mean, I think, to be beaten by 7 points in the end, it's significant enough, and I suppose they would have been expecting to be way closer than that. But in the overall context, I think Father O'Neill's were very, very good this evening as well. You'd have to give credit to Father O'Neill's as well. Okay,
we'll come back to just the match in a few moments' time. I want to get a full time as well too. It'll drop up to us from the Middleton Ballyhay game. Just want to talk to you about some news earlier today. We were talking about Cahill's performance here and letting the game flow. 2 big red card decisions last week, and the cards rescinded today.
It's amazing, to be honest about it. So you're referring to, I suppose, Rob Downey for the Glen having his red card rescinded, and Ken O'Halloran, I suppose. It's a part of the game now that clubs do challenge the referee, and I suppose that is their right to do that. I suppose one of the biggest fears is that if the red card did stand, and if a player did happen to get in another red card during the course of the season, then they're suspended for 2 matches. I think we all saw, I think Al McAllister probably made the right decision. No, he was doing it in conjunction with his umpires as well. It seemed that, there was a strike went in. It was minimal now, to be honest with you. I do believe that the Bars player probably went down a little bit easier, right? But it has been rescinded. That's the big decision. And the 2 of them at senior level, at Premier Senior, were rescinded. So, the biggest question now, from referee's point of view, I'm doing my job and trying to get everything right. And I think it was a big game for Cahill last weekend. It was live on national television as well, and everybody saw it. But I don't think Rob Downey needs to be getting involved. Is the other side of this, he's, there's no need to be doing that. Just get on with the game and play it hard and fair.
Yeah, I think maybe is that the question mark. We criticise referees so often, and I must say, a superb performance by Cahill tonight, right across the board. Left play flow and the advantage rule, etc. But is there an onus on players as well too?
Right, I absolutely. I mean, if you're wholehearted and honest with your approach to the game, I think players, when they take that approach, they make the game very easy for the referee. The referee is is just conducting the orchestra at the end of the day. He's leaving it develop and leave it flow, and I think Cahill left that develop tonight. And I mean, in particular, that score that Declan Dalton got, I've seen that blown on numerous occasions, but he left it develop. Now, probably one of the helps that is actually here with having a reduced crowd is the influence that the line or the sideline or the we say the supporters outside a specific incident, and that was over at the shed side here in Parky Ring tonight. If you had 500 or 600 people over there would definitely be half of them blowing for a free, and the other half will be blowing for over carrying. So it does have an influence on some referees, but I think there's really strong referees that know their stuff. They're not going to get influenced by the sideline, by the crowd, or by the players. They ref what they see in front of them, and that's really what referees should be focused on. Concentrate on what's in front of you. Okay, now the red cards, one of the big talking points here in Cork today, one of the big talking points nationally, and unfortunately we had Taoiseach Micheál Martin on air at 6 o'clock this evening talking about this lockdown. It's going to be a regionalised lockdown. Kildare, Laois,
awfully. Everything from a GAP perspective gone into cold storage for 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's a serious problem. It's a bigger problem for the 3 counties involved, but I think it sends out a clear signal to every other county that, like, if the numbers start to spike, there's going to be ramifications for it, and you can't blame the government for making the decision. They're trying to protect the people of this country, and there's an awful lot of personal responsibility amongst everybody. You protect yourself first, but protect others as well. But the message that is quite clear, like, all GA activity has been cancelled in those 3 counties at a stroke of a pen by 12 o'clock tonight. That's a serious message for everybody. And, I suppose it's, it would be a real dampener column if we started and we've done great here in Cork to get the championships up and running, and there is a buzz, and the buzz is really because the inter-county player at hurling and football is actually back with their club and training with their club and playing and performing, which is great. We see Declan Galton, excellent tonight. We've seen Conor Lehane, excellent last weekend, excellent tonight as well. I think he got 3 goals. Saw Patrick Horgan live on television. I think that is fantastic for the club game. And I've spoken to an awful lot of people this week who actually said the buzz is back with the club championship.
And another story as well too. It's all happening this evening. The GPA with their statement in terms of shortening the inter-county season. Like, as you said, a beautiful evening like this, such a rarity in previous times for the club player and the county club player, if you know what I mean, to enjoy an evening like this. Is there the positive in a pandemic that maybe this is the time for change?
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. In my opinion, and I think it's a big statement from the GPA, because they're only carrying the views of the inter-county hurlers and footballers of this country, that they are actually saying, listen, we want this condensed. And is that to give more time back to the club? I think it probably is, because I think, they're only amateur players at the end of the day. They've got families, they've got jobs to go to, and being an inter-county player is a very, very difficult thing. It's all-consuming, and when we were all playing inter-county, it was all-consuming as well, but it's gone up a couple of notches, Colin. There's no point in saying otherwise. Like, you just don't see your inter-county player at any family function, at any holiday or anything. And then, look, when you're an inter-county player, you don't mind that either. You're selfish because you want to play at that level and you want to achieve, and I suppose you want to get up that ladder to improve. But I suppose the biggest question now for the GA is, what do they do? Do you, like we have in Cork, we are combining hurling and football every second. That's not conducive for dual clubs. But what I'd love to see happening now possibly is that you would have a football season at the start and you'd have a hurling season at the back, or vice versa. And then you would suit an awful lot of dual clubs in that scenario, because you could give a club 5 or 6 weeks, it's all football, 5 or 6 weeks, it's all hurling. So the question is, like what the GPS said is, I think it's February to July, they want everything, the league and the championship completed in that period of time. Is there a possibility that maybe the first 6 weeks of the year could be club hurling or club football, then you give 3 months to inter-county for the National League, then could you give hurling 3 months or maybe 8 weeks or something like that, and then finish off with your inter-county championships and stuff like that. So it's all about, look, there's 12 months in the year, and it's all about giving the club its space in the calendar, and I think that.
You just to continue the point about the demands in county players, I think players will be happy to have the demands when they know that there's a game every week or every 2 weeks, as opposed to be training and all the muck and the grime and everything like that. Yeah. But the matches might only be coming over extended periods.
That's right, and I suppose that is one thing that the Cork County Board have been trying to achieve under the new tutors of Kevin O'Donovan, is that you can tell players exactly when they're going to be playing, or maybe sometimes importantly when they're not going to be playing, because all those lads that are playing club want to get away for a break with their families and stuff like that, and young kids, and I suppose that's important as well, to be able to tell fellas when they are and when they aren't, and putting a structure on it, because for the last decade it's been play one game at the start of the year, then we'll see how Cork get on, and it's either going to be this date or that date, depending on how Cork performs. So I think the important thing is the GAA needs to realise that they have to protect the club, And once Croke Park will realise that, and now the inter-county players have said, we want to condensing. It's about joined up thinking now and trying to protect the club, because if we don't protect the club, Colm, we won't have your Patrick Horgans, we won't have your Shamie Hannady's coming to the fore, Mark Coleman's, Darragh Fitzgibbons, all those guys. They came up through the annals of all their clubs, down at under 4, the underage and all that kind of stuff, and all of a sudden these kids started to blossom at 12 and 14 and 16 into development squads, into Cork minor teams. We need to protect the club.
And I think in the midst of a global pandemic, I know we don't have fans here today or tonight or at any of the matches, but I think the importance of the club game has never been as high in communities around the country.
Well, I'll give a small example now. My second young fella was 5 last weekend. Killer were playing Noosastown. We had a birthday party for him, and we had 12 people sitting around the television at home watching the match being live streamed by the club, by both Noosastown and Kilo agreed to cover the cost of it. Now, I can say genuinely, of the 12 that were there, there's probably maybe 3 would have went to the match if we were allowed in. 9 wouldn't have. But we still had 9 people that were interested in watching their club playing. And by actually the live streaming now, what you'll find is that younger people, older people, friends of players will watch matches on a more regular basis. And I'd love to see this, Colm, being a regular thing, that clubs can live stream matches for their own club people, for their own supporters. And you mentioned earlier on about people that you don't have to be in Ireland now to go and watch the match. If you're abroad, you can tune into whatever website you want to and watch the game live. It's fantastic.
Okay, just to get you the final score, by the way, from the clash down in Fermoy. It finished Middleton 4 goals and 23 points to Ballyhaise 1 goal and 13. Lovely, spicy final round of fixtures coming up there.
I suppose the big thing is the result between SAHC and Douglas. That's the big result that's coming. I suppose from this weekend now, and this is going to generate the debate next week. If we had a situation where with a SAHC win tomorrow, they'll be on 4 points. They more than likely will probably beat Ballyhay now based on that result, I would expect. So they'll be on 6 points. You have Douglas, who won their first round, and Middleton, who are both on 2 points. It's a winner takes all now, because whoever wins that will have 4 points. They'll be in the number 2 slot, they'll be going through, and the other team will be going out. Okay, well, exciting couple of weeks ahead, but I suppose the advice to everyone is wash the hands, wear the face masks, do what you're told to do by the government. Now, over tomorrow, a busy afternoon here in the Irish Examiner live streaming department. Not 1, but 2 matches for you to look forward to. This man here is heading up to Mourneabbey. I hope you'll be able to find your way all the way up there. And we've a nice commentary gantry set up, I'm told, for you and Des Curran. No problem. I'm a very good friend of Jeremiah Ronane's, and I've often used the facilities in Mourneabbey for challenge matches and practice matches.
You'll be well taken care of.
Absolutely.
Castlelyons v Blarney is the match that Mark and Des will be working on, and I am at the Co-op Superstores Premier Senior Clash of SARS and Douglas, and that's Páirc Uí Chaoimh. 7:45 throw-in. We'll be getting underway at about 7:30. Well, that is where we're going to have to for this evening, and a beautiful evening here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, the sun setting, and well, the question is, has the sun set for Bride Rovers? Are they still in the championship? Father O'Neill's victorious here tonight, and hugely impressive in the win, 1 goal and 20 points to 16 points. That is where we're going to have to leave it. Our thanks to Raf and Jack, who were on this side of the operation, Mark and Patrick, who were assisting over here to my left, and to Stephen and the team back in the office. That's it for us this evening. Our Co-op Superstores match coverage, with thanks to the sponsors of the competition, the Co-op Superstores. Hopefully you'll be able to join us tomorrow for those 2 games, with the action getting underway from Mourneabbey at 6 o'clock.